want to know the answer to.
Okay, terrific. Anybody on the call like to ask some questions? And Dwayne, I'd also open this up if there's anything else before the questions come. Didn't want to put you on the spot, but would love to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks, Julia. So thanks, Jada. Welcome everybody and good afternoon. So yeah, I am a Mercy alum. I actually graduated way back in the late 88, I think I did. And then I went back 10 years later and I graduated with an accounting degree from Mercy, then went back and got my MBA from Mercy about 10 years after that. So just a couple of things that Jada pointed out. You really don't know what you don't know coming out of school, whether you're undergrad or grad. So I took some time between my undergrad and grad just to get some experience, and that actually helped me personally. But whether you continue on through getting your MBA or wait, it really depends on your opportunities. The other thing is, I grew up in banking, made the switch to brokerage about 10 years ago. So I'm the chief operating officer for the Aon's region here in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So even though I had an accounting and finance degree, I sort of made the switch to the operations world, which includes a little bit of finance and accounting, but mainly around compliance and metrics and understanding how the business works. So I would just say open up your minds to the roles that are out there. Do your research, as Jada mentioned, on the companies that you interview with, and then use your network. You have Jada now, a very esteemed Mercy alum. You have myself. So reach out, use your connections, and have them benefit you in any way that you see.
Thank you. And Jade, I noticed, thank you. You want to just talk about what you put in the chat so people know it's there?
No, yeah, sure. So I put in our jobs link, so you can search early careers for the full-time roles, and then also our internships. I highly encourage you guys to apply now because this is our recruiting time span for the full-time. Internship will open up sometime next month. And then Moira McCasey is our GNY recruiter. So if you have any questions on the process, she can answer more of those questions.
And for all of you on this call who are business undergraduates, Samantha Karpoloff, who is on this call to my over there, not God knows where she is with you guys, is your career coach who will help you with the resume, with searching for handshakes, searching for opportunities, internships, full-time. So you have a dedicated resource here at Mercy already helping you out with any questions that you have. Sam just put her, thank you, Sam, her email in there. So take a picture with your phone, whatever you need to do to keep that information, as well as the link, because you won't be able to get this chat once it's banished into the cloud. Opening this up to questions, and thank you, Dwayne, so much for your time and for participating. Any questions at all, please just unmute yourself and ask away.
I can actually get started with one that I had, if that's all right. Thanks so much for this great information, Jada and Dwayne. It's wonderful to have you here. And this question I had was actually for Jada. I was wondering if there were some key experiences or skills that you learned while you were at Mercy for either of your degrees that have assisted you in your role today.
So that's a great question. And I will say Excel, Excel, Excel. I use Excel every single day in my current role. And I feel like I use it in my personal life too, because I see how beneficial it is in my professional life. And so I've learned that from the certification that I got my second semester in freshman year. So I can not speak more highly about like getting a certification. And then also I would say when I was getting my MBA, we learned a lot about Tableau and R. Those are definitely beneficial as well when it comes to communicating the data to senior leaders. So you want to be able to show them not just like a spreadsheet with a ton of numbers, but something that's more appealing. Definitely learn a ton of those skills as well from Mercy.
That's great, thank you. I don't know if you have anything to add yourself, Dwayne.
Yeah, just one thing. So as a manager of early career colleagues at Mercy, what you want to bring to your managers is some actionable sort of information. So make sure the information is accurate as possible, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. But when you make a mistake, just own up to the mistake, because we really work as a team here at Aon. but you want to bring some information that your manager can act on. So do the research, do the analysis so that the manager can make a more informed decision.
Very valuable, thank you. We try to encourage students to make sure that their resumes, their LinkedIn profile, their interview, all taps into what they made happen. Even if it was baking brownies and selling more brownies at the charity that they worked in, during the summer, but what did you do that was a little different from the person next to you, and what did you really own and what did you make happen? Any other nuggets of advice for interviewing when most of the time, as you will know, it's a computer screen and it's virtual and you get this 30-minute one-way, describe yourself, or how many tennis balls fit into this classroom, and you don't sometimes even get an individual on the other side or to make eye contact with anyone in this new virtual world. So I'd be curious for either of you to weigh in on the world has changed and how students can continue to pivot and evolve and differentiate themselves.
Great question, Julia. And I remember those like higher view interviews that you go through before you even meet a person. And I would say the best advice is to tell a story, right? Act as if you're talking to someone, but make sure you can tie it back to a story. Because I feel like people remember you when they say, oh, that's the girl who has the Great Dane that's 110 pounds, or that's the girl who did this, or that's the guy who did this. So try to incorporate a story and something that you may do. People think that the small roles that you had in your college years or even before that don't translate to an entry-level role, but they do. So if you have seen leadership role within, say you worked at a retail store and you sold or brought in, this is just an example for me. I worked at TJ Maxx at one point and I got the most credit cards for new customers who came in. So that's an achievement in itself, right? So even if it goes back to those smaller jobs that you had, you can then translate that into, well, I can start selling some of the products that we have here at Aon and try to incorporate what I've learned as far as customer service that I did in my prior jobs. So I would definitely say, try to tell a story. That way people remember you from that, and keep it real, like be as personable as you can and as authentic as you can, because people can definitely read through the robotic answers and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback off of that. Jada's absolutely right. And I interview a ton of early career colleagues at Aon. And one thing I can say is make sure that you have it's okay to be nervous. We're all going to be nervous. The interviewer, by the way, could be nervous as well. So just bring some energy to the interview. Do differentiate yourself, as Jada and Julia were speaking about, but also be very prepared. My own interview process at Aon went on for 5 months. So it's almost like a Broadway performance, right? You have to bring your performance every single time to every single interview that you have. And you may be doing multiple interviews for Aon or for another company, but bring your energy, be prepared, and try to relax, even though it's easier said than done. And as Jada said, just have a conversation.
Thank you. Jacqueline, you had raised your hand.
Hi. Yeah.
Oops, there you go. I realize you're in a classroom, it looks like, so.
You can also chat in your question, Jackie, if that's easier.
Oh, here she goes. How did you feel about getting your MBA right away rather than getting years of experience in? Like Mr. McCallum, did you feel just as prepared?
Great question. Yeah,
that's from Racine.
Okay, thanks, Racine. So that's a great question. I will preface this by saying everyone's journey is different, right? And so my journey was a little bit different, that I graduated a year early from my undergrad. So I decided to continue on with my graduate by getting the MBA. And I feel like it helped me. So like I mentioned before, decide exactly what I wanted to do, because I still didn't know after graduating undergrad what I wanted to do. So definitely helped me. I will say, I'll let Dwayne jump in as far as experience goes, but I did feel prepared. It helped me more in the sense of understanding the overall aspect of companies. So not just looking more at the team level, but understanding the overall goals of companies. It helped me in that sense. And then it also helped me on the more analytical side of analyzing data and in that sense. But Dwayne, I don't know if you have anything to add more on getting the MBA later.
Yeah, look, there's not a right or wrong answer to this. It all depends on how you take your path and what your path leads you down to. So for me, once I finished undergrad, I was already working full time in a firm. So I was just literally exhausted from going to school at night and working all day. So I needed a break from school. So that's what I did. But then going back later, 10 years later, it did offer me some advantages to my classroom study, because in the classroom, I knew everything the professors were talking about in the MBA program. So I sort of kind of coasted my way through my MBA. And I don't think I would have had that much success had I not done it the other way. But there's not a right or wrong answer. I think everybody just charts their own way. So you just have to figure out really what's best for you and your situation.
Thank you. Question for both of you to describe your day-to-day.
Yeah, so my day-to-day is different every day. We do have, I will say, we have monthly reporting as well as yearly reporting that we do report out to our RSDs and RMDs, but I'm more on the non-client facing side. So my clients are the colleagues. So I'm looking to what we call our producers and our account executives to make sure that we're tracking any deals that they then go out to their clients and say, oh, we want to sell you property and casualty, or what we call director and officers insurance. And so once they come back from those client meetings, I then check that in what we call our CRM tool, which is powered through Oracle. Some of you may know Salesforce, similar in that way. And so we put all of that data into that system, and then we can track when the deal is closing, when it's closed won, or if we lost the deal and who did we lose it to. And so from there, we then export all that data out into Excel, like I mentioned, and then we run our pivot tables and all of that good stuff to then show to leadership, okay, this is where we're at, this is where we need to be by the end of the month or by the end of the year. And then do a lot of discovery meetings, which we just started this year, which we call DAU, Delivering Aon United. And so sit on these calls and the account executives will talk about their clients. So for example, there was Carnival, that was one of our clients, and you can see the change over years. So we started back in 2019 and you'll see, oh, we're doing great. But then 2020, the pandemic happened. Oh, the industry right now for cruise lines has gone down. So what can we as a company do to help them on their end? So we call that our DAU sessions. But aside from that, I do a ton of things ad hoc wise. So if someone's looking for a new marketing strategy, I work with them on that. And then also prospecting. So looking to get new clients. So a little bit of everything, but I will say every day is a little bit different.
Yeah, so it's so ironic that Jada and I are both alums from Mercy, and she actually works on one of the analyst teams very close with me. It's out of a 50,000 colleague company. We end up working together. So all those things Jada talked about, and she does a fantastic job. The whole team does a fantastic job, collates all the way up to us. And so I use some of that data Jada was talking about, some data from other areas and other analysts, and try to come up with better strategies and solutions for our clients. That's sort of my job, and sort of overlook sort of the landscape to make sure that we are utilizing the best processes and process flows that we can to serve our clients, both internally and externally. We cater a lot to what I call the rainmakers. Jana was referring to them as our producers. Those are the folks that go out and sell the insurance and make the money. Jada and their team analyze what we're doing, and then I try to make a decision to help us make more money or to lose less money in some cases, right? Because we don't want to lose clients to our competitors. So my job, as Jada says, daily, sort of fix stuff like that daily, but every single day there are tons and tons of fire drills that come up every day You probably see us looking off the screen right now as people start pinging us around something going on, mainly around a client that's unhappy about something that's going on. And we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that client is happy and we retain the business. So that's a lot of the day to day.
Thank you. There's a question from Blake for you, Dwayne, about your process. You know, while it took 5 months for you to interview, how did you navigate that? Did you try to get 3 other offers? Did you, certainly, I have a feeling you weren't just sitting and waiting for 5 months doing nothing, but it's a great question. I'd love to hear how you handled the process.
No. So I was actively working, and I said earlier, I grew up in banking, so I didn't know much about insurance brokerage until about 10 years ago. I was just fortunate to work for another competitor who did a lot of acquisitions. So the one thing I run sort of this finance sort of 101 for early career students. And I always say, and I'll say it to the team here, that if you get a chance to work in some M&A, mergers and acquisitions capability, take advantage of that. It's a very sexy term. People talk about it a lot, but really try to get into it. And if you have an opportunity to do it. So the 5-month process was, Aon originally approached me for a finance role because I'm a accounting and finance major, and I was a CFO at another firm. But then this role was an operations role that kind of combined finance and customer facing stuff as well. So there were multiple candidates for it, and there's a lot of leaders to meet, and that was really the crux of the time period. So it started with our producers, the girls and guys who generate our revenue, and then it went to the finance folks, and then it went to the administrative folks, and then finally up to our CEO who runs the region. And so kind of timing, scheduling, I think I met with a total of 15 people over 5 months. And as I said earlier, you have to really get up for your performance, if you will, every single time, because you don't want to be flat at any given point. And so it just took that long because it's a high level role, and I was very, cautious about it, and Aon was very cautious about it, and so we finally met in the middle.
And I'll add, Blake, on the entry level side, the interview process is about 2 to 3 months. So no 5 months, but it's a little bit quicker on the entry level.
Yeah, I don't want to scare you guys. Yeah, it should be quicker than that. It shouldn't be my experience, but it was in the summer too. A lot of folks might have been vacationing.
Yeah.
Other questions?
It looks like Blake had another question earlier for Jada about maintaining the same level of productivity while working from home versus in person.
That's a good question, Blake. I will say I personally feel like I do better at home than I did in the office. I used to have a almost 2.5 hour commute into the office since I'm far out east in Long Island. So that put a big toll on my body as far as sleep goes. So I will say I'm more productive at home. But what I will say that I utilize my calendar very well. I block out my time. So I'm very busy on my day-to-day, but more on my passion job too, which I can kind of go into a little bit more after. But blocking out your time, whether it be for specific meetings that you have, or if you just need a rest period, right? Like a quick 15-minute, just to like get yourself up to date with what emails are coming through. Utilize your calendar. I know when I was in college, I had a planner with me at all times that had my assignments, my due dates, all laid out for the year. So I use planners, calendars, whatever it may be. But more onto what I do on my passion side, as I mentioned, I'm a co-lead for one of our business resource groups here at Aon, which is our Black Professional Network. And we really look to engage more with our colleagues and also our allies in that sense. And then also, I'm the campus leader for our Brooklyn College Diverse University Initiative. So Aon recently invested $1.2 million into bridging the gap between diverse talent within the firm, as well as trying to connect more with our HBCU universities. And so very, very busy with, analytics and then what I love to do on that passion side. So definitely block out your calendars or utilize planners when it comes to work. I don't know if there's any other questions.
So I wanted to ask you both, when I talk with students about exploring careers in accounting and insurance, they immediately assume it's boring. So I want you, I'm just, right? We all know this. And so I'd love you guys don't seem bored. You seem engaged and enthusiastic about what you do. So I would just love you to shed light on that old stale stereotype of insurance being just boring and I'm just selling insurance to someone, or it will really talk to the truth of the industry and your roles there, because I think it would help educate on the industry.
Yeah, so I'll go quickly and then Dwayne, feel free, but you'll probably hear this term a lot, and you can see from Dwayne and myself, a lot of people will say, oh, I fell into the insurance industry. Because like you said, Julia, nobody really thinks it's appealing, the insurance industry, but that's kind of how I fell into it. And Dwayne, it sounds similar to you, but I will say, Aon is an amazing company to work for, and I've seen with other colleagues that I've had a chance to network who are in different brokerages, they talk about the great work that they do. And I will say there's tons of different teams here. So if you have a specific skill in finance, you can work on our finance team as an analyst there, and you're strictly working with finance. Or if you have an interest for, I think there's like an, what do they call it? Like an arts special, like they sell insurance for the arts. And so we have artwork that is around the building that we display. So there's tons and tons of different teams. And we're actually working on an event called Don't Rule Yourself Out. So regardless of your major or of your focus in school, is to not rule yourself out of Aon, but also the insurance industry in itself. I really will say, like, it's a great industry to work in and a great company in general to work for. I tell people a lot, although I'm only 2.5 years in, I really feel like I can retire at Aon. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll echo that. So I ironically joined as well in 2019. So a couple things, Julie, you hit on. So being an accounting major, I can say this: it's more than debits to the left and credits to the right. Right? There's much more going on than that that you've learned and learned in school. I touched on the mergers and acquisition front. If you get an opportunity to work in Aon or another company on mergers acquisitions, take advantage of that. But if you think about insurance, like you think about banking and insurance, when I grew up, I was thinking about banking as a bank teller or a loan officer. And you think about insurance, you think about car insurance or your home insurance. But banking and insurance take on a whole nother platform when you work for a large firm like Aon. So you think about, Jada was talking about art. You have your high net worth insurers that you insure. So folks with multiple, high net worth art, cars, collections, everything you can really think of is insured, right? From your home to your personal items. And the way we go about that is developing programs to make sure that your insurance coverages are met. And then we work with Aon, we work with our partners, our insurance carriers, right, who carry the risk of insuring your products, on developing those programs that work for you. And then we all know we pay our money to insurance companies, which we call premiums. So we try to develop programs that will lessen your premiums and give you more coverage. And that's just like 30,000 foot view of it. But there's so many things that go into it. And as experts at Aon and other competitors as well, that they develop these programs and are expert at what they do. So education, believe it or not, Mercy is underwritten by somebody. I'm not sure who has your insurance. Matter of fact, you guys should call me and let me know. But if it's not Aon, we'd like to be your insurer of choice. But even Mercy, there's higher education insurance, there's lower education insurance. So everything that you can possibly think of actually has an insurance component behind it. And behind that science is a bunch of these areas. Jada's in analytics, I'm in operations, there's sales, there's data and analytics, there's brokering that just do the deals between us and the carriers. So a lot going on. And it's clearly not boring, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll just add, there's also like cyber too. So if you see stuff in the news as far as certain cyber attacks that are going on, we have that as well, which is very interesting. And then more relatable is 5G. So we just got this new product called 5G LLC that we're teaming with. So like you'll see on your phone 5G, and maybe it's being powered through one of our clients. So just to kind of on a more relatable thing, but tons of good stuff.
Actually, I want to say one more thing. That's a great topic. For any of the cyber comp sci folks on the phone or no folks, there's sort of our pre-data breach side of the house and post-data breach side of the house. So we have a huge firm. We have one floor actually dedicated just for cyber. A lot of folks aren't even allowed on that floor. It's like a retina scan to get on that floor. I had the opportunity to walk the floor, and it's amazing. So those techies, I call them, they have one half of the house is working on preventing your firm from being infiltrated, and then if it does get infiltrated, there's the other half to help you not have that again. So that's a big area in cyber insurance. That's a great point, Jada.
On the macro level, you guys, insurance is too, and you guys can both correct me, but I think it's important to understand the insurance industry is in the business of reducing risk. Chances are, if you understand the mainline business of a company, you'll understand why they're probably not going to interview you and give you an offer 10 minutes later, because they are thorough. And they, whether you have a car accident, you don't have insurance. Whether your house burns down, you don't have insurance. Now there's a cyber breach. So insurance companies are in the business of keeping you safe because they don't move on a dime, and they are careful and thorough. Right. So you might want to
very pragmatic. And when you hear someone talk about working for a risk management firm, that's a sexy way to say I work for an insurance broker.
I mean, study what happened to AIG if you want to know how powerful, and the seismic shifts that can occur when an insurance company doesn't manage their own balance sheet correctly. All the money and all the premiums that everyone is paying, from the car to the house fire to major institutional risk areas. So it's actually the opposite of boring. I mean, you were at the forefront of keeping corporations safe, which is pretty major. And I think talk about feeling purposeful in what you do. I would imagine, you want to be feeling like what you do is important.
Yeah, and Julia, to add, for those who don't know, we're right in that hurricane season as well. So we use drones as well, which I just found out. And then we will go in with the drone and kind of evaluate an area that was damaged to then assess what needs to be paid out claims wise. So just those certain things are cool as well that we do within the insurance industry.
Any final questions from our audience at all?
I have one more I wanted to ask real quickly for both of you. I was curious from both of your perspectives what the main skills or I guess attributes are that can help someone be successful while they're working remotely, because I know that's a totally different feel compared to being in person.
Yeah, I'll go and I'll let you finish off, Jada. So there's one part of me, it feels unfortunate for those who have to work remotely, because we have a flagship office in New York City. It's like state of the art. Love you guys to come and see it. I mean, push button, everything down there. And so there is a big challenge, Samantha, to keep especially our early career and our new launch candidates engaged. So we try to, and everybody's zoomed out. I know I'm zoomed out. So we try to make sure that we sort of recognize that and also balance their day through their workload, because it's very easy to continue to work all the time, but the early colleagues need some direction. So we encourage them to keep reaching out. We'll get on the Zoom calls, call us on the telephone. I know that seems ancient when you have a question if you want as well. But just don't be afraid to step up, because if you don't know, and especially there's some that have never set foot in the office, that is the biggest challenge. So the managers proactively keep engaged and keep reaching out to them. But there is no science to it. We just have to sort of, and every colleague is different. We just have to sort of cater to what we feel is best for them.
Yeah, and further to that, I think what's key is self-motivation, right? Like you're at your home, your bed's right there. You just want to maybe lay down for a couple minutes, but just you got to keep yourself motivated and like keep your mind on the task. So if you know you have a deadline coming up, just try to keep yourself motivated within those hours, the 8 hours that you're working, and also utilize the WebEx because we have not specific to Aon, but just in general, there's companies that are global. So we're a global company. We have offices in 120 countries. So you can connect with people who are in our UK office or in our LA office and get a sense of what they're doing. So kind of use this as an advantage type thing when it comes to building that network, like I said. So just trying to engage with as many people as you can. And I know Blake put in more of like, how does Aon contribute to team building, or is it up to the employees to build chemistry with coworkers? It's really within the launch program, that 10-month development, you're in that cohort, right? So you may be on a presentation team with 5 other students within the North America region and plus Canada as well. So you get to connect with other colleagues who are not specifically on your team, but it's really up to you as well to build your own network and to connect with other people who you may meet for a breakfast with the best that we call. And Dwayne has been the host of several of those. And then we also have things called free for coffee. So if maybe yourself along with another senior leader and you just have 15 to 30-minute chat or over coffee, virtual coffee, just talking about yourself and them telling you more about what they've done at Aon and just talking more through what you look to get out of your career. So kind of working your way around that.
It was a great question. Anybody else at all?
I would just like to say a thank you to Jada and to Dwayne for sharing their time. And students ask me all the time, how do I get the job I want? And one of the ways I say is meet people who are doing what you want to do. And it's just great that you guys are here sharing and our students are here and asking you questions because that's one of the ways that you get a job. And thank you so much, Dwayne and Jada, for giving back.
Oh, yeah.
And Julia, thank you for saying that accounting is not boring. I'm an accounting professor. I don't think it's boring. I think accounting and finance is a wonderful platform where you study that and you want to end up in the accounting profession and you end up doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't know what we don't know. And so oftentimes that's why it's so helpful to have people like you guys on so you can describe what you do. And it switches the thinking. We just don't know until we're there. So it's really, thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Chu, for educating like you do. I mean, the classwork and the accounting program is so strong at Mercy, and I've seen it translate into life-altering career changes for our students. So it goes hand in hand, right? We need the employers to hire, but we need our professors to train. So it's just been it's great. And it is an old stereotype. So happy to smash it to the ground.
Yep.
Julie.